The issue with this visit is it comes after 18 months of sustained hostile acts against our country. Cyber attacks, putting a spy at the heart of our parliament, the torture and imprisonment of Jimmy Lai, British national. And so what message that sends is it doesn't matter what you do to our country, we will reward you with a propaganda visit to Beijing. So actually, yes, it is dangerous because it signals the end of deterrence, and we should be really concerned about that.
But it's really brilliant to be here in Shanghai. Thank you for giving us your attention this evening. This is a historic visit to China, the first by a British Prime Minister in 8 years. And we've come very much in the spirit of engagement, of resetting, and setting out a consistent, long-term, comprehensive and strategic partnership. And yesterday in Beijing, we had really productive bilateral meetings, including with President Xi, and we were able to open up opportunities for both of our countries and resolve issues between us.
The idea that because of actions from the White House that we do not appreciate and should not be happening, that we should jump into the bed of an autocratic communist regime, I'm sorry, is for the birds. But also the government is being very misleading on their arguments about how big of a trading partner China is for us. There is a trade surplus for China of 38 billion that is in our favour. They buy from us, and actually good exports, in fact exports overall from the UK to China, are down between 27 to 40% under this government. So actually what I want to see Keir Starmer do is recognise that we have heft in this relationship. We are not a small country, we are a significant one. And to have gone to China saying, we have preconditions. You said we had to approve the Chinese Communist Party embassy. He shouldn't have done it, but he did. But where were our preconditions, which should have been the release of Jimmy Lai and a reduction in hostile acts against our country in the months leading up to the visit, or even the release of sanctioning against British MPs? But he achieved none of those and came back with measly deals that had already been given to the French and German, and if I'm honest, do not make us safer or economically stronger. The individuals have been found not guilty, but a couple of years ago I was called into parliamentary security and sat down, and there was an individual from the Secret Services and from the Metropolitan Police Service, and they informed me that yes, I had been spied on over the last few years by an individual who was running a research team that I was chair of. The Crown Prosecution Service has also put in writing that I was spied on. But I'm proud of that because actually it shows that I was doing the actions that the Chinese Communist Party recognised was stopping them from securing their goals in making Britain weaker and more vulnerable to their hostile influence. So I make no apologies for the work I've done. I will continue to work to protect Britain. And yes, I'm very, very disappointed that I ever had to come across those individuals, but I will not be stopped from working to try and protect us.
We've got a fantastic delegation with us from the United Kingdom. We've got about 80 of the best businesses and cultural organisations in Britain, and they're all here in this room this evening. And already I think the atmosphere has changed. The opportunities are opening up, and that's the great prize of engagement. And it's not just business engagement, it's also cultural engagement and the creatives. And we've got, even if you just look around the room, we've got Burberry, we've got the Brompton bike over here, we've got Jellycat there, by the way. When my daughter sees that, I've got to have a picture of that before I get back home. But that is the strength of not just business, but deeper cultural relations. And I'm absolutely convinced that the more we engage, the more that mutual trust and respect can be built upon which a great future and great opportunities lie.
There is no question that I would not welcome any visit by Xi Jinping to the UK. The idea that we should be bringing him here, and what? Am I as an MP going to expect to go and listen to him speak to us in Parliament and tell me about how great their democracy is? Look, Keir Starmer's been really keen over the last few days to try and say that he's got to fix the broken relationship the Conservatives left him with China. That is abdicating the Chinese Communist Party's responsibility for why we had to change the relationship. We cancelled trade talks in 2019 because they were cracking down on human rights and democracy in Hong Kong. We stripped Huawei and stopped them from buying Newport wafer fab because they were trying to undermine our critical national infrastructure. Is he really saying that we should have allowed all those things to happen, let alone the activities in Xinjiang and everything else, with no repercussions? We're not like him. We are not going to give them free rein in our country, and I would not accept a visit.
Yeah. Have you got a cup of tea for your black tea?
Yeah, black tea.
Tea?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
The problem is that Labour would open the door to China and allow them to stamp all over us. In contrast, I think we need dialogue with China, but there should be clear parameters. We should have clear requirements, but that put national security first. But also, the Chinese communists are very transactional. So let's go sector by sector when we talk about dialogue and engagement with them. But if the Prime Minister is scared to even say Jimmy Lai's name while he is in China, imagine how his family is feeling today. And so, no, we shouldn't just open these doors willy-nilly. And the reality is we can work with partners across the world, but the idea that we need to embrace autocrats, I mean, no British person listening to this would say that's acceptable.
So thank you all for being here this evening. Please get in the spirit of it, which means I want you to talk. Those of you that haven't met my delegation yet, the very many businesses, etc., please seek them out. Have a discussion with them this evening. In the last 24 hours, there have been many, many discussions that have taken place. Take that opportunity, not just today, but in the months ahead, because this is an expression of the United Kingdom as an open, outward trading company, making sure that our place is back on the world stage with the necessary relations that we need. So thank you all for being here. Enjoy your evening. Make sure that before you go home you've made some new contacts, that you've made some new engagements, because that is the way that we take forward prosperity for both of our nations. So thank you very much for being here. Enjoy the evening. Good luck.
So we were actually expecting it to be approved while they were in China. That was one of the big things that Keir Starmer wanted to be announced. I'm pleased to see that they've paused on that. Let's see if they paused meaningfully about it or because they felt under too much pressure. But no, we should be really cautious. This is the same country that tried to take over our semiconductor factories, and I worked very hard to stop them. Obviously, we had Huawei. We've seen them put listening devices in number 10 and MOD vehicles, and now also in cranes. We should be really cautious before we let China anywhere near our critical national infrastructure, and I will always maintain that position. I want green energy. I'm a big believer in offshore wind and also onshore wind. I'm a supporter of them. I've constantly called for it. I got my government to change the policy to allow it to be brought back onshore. But it has to be the right countries, because otherwise what happens? We end up in hock to the Chinese Communist Party, who can switch on or switch off our energy, and that makes us too vulnerable.
Very nice to
Welcome to King. The connection with the people, and the happiness is real. That's right.